Increasing the fresh fruits and vegetables offered in school nutrition programs will enable students to make healthy choices and may introduce students to new foods. Following some storage best practices will help preserve freshness of produce and allow you to offer the best quality product possible. In this video, we will learn best practices for storing fresh produce, such as the types of produce to store in dry storage, the types of produce to store in the refrigerator, how to store fresh cut produce, and how to protect produce from ethylene damage. Hi, I'm Chef Lee. From the time you receive fresh produce into your school nutrition operation until it's prepared for service, it must be stored. Correctly storing the produce will make a difference in maintaining its quality. Let's talk about what you need to know. As you move fresh produce from the receiving area to storage, it's essential that the new products are managed properly so that they're used at the peak of their quality. Proper storage methods prompt you to use the items received first before using new deliveries. Rotating your stock appropriately helps reduce spoilage and waste. Mark each box or carton with the date it was received. You can use markers, grease pencils, different color stamps, or a date stamp, whatever works for your operation. The produce should be kept in its original packaging with the date marked clearly on the outside in an easy-to-see location. Do not wash any produce before it goes into storage. Use the first in, first out, or FIFO storage method. Place new items behind the stock that you already have. Use items stored in the front first. This ensures that you use the grapes that arrived last Monday before the grapes received this Monday. We'll talk more about where to place products in just a few minutes. Check your fresh produce regularly so that you will know how much shelf life products have remaining. If you realize that you have an excess amount of a particular item, offer it on the menu as a fresh fruit or vegetable option as soon as possible, or add it to a recipe. In school nutrition operations, there are two places for storing produce, in dry storage or the refrigerator. The ideal storage for a fruit or vegetable depends on its unique requirements for temperature, relative humidity, and ethylene gas production or sensitivity. The options in your operation may not be the most ideal conditions for all types of produce. For example, bell peppers are ideally stored at 45 degrees, but you will probably have to store them below 41 degrees. Sweet potatoes are best stored at 56 degrees, but you will have to store them at a temperature in your dry storage room, probably 60 to 70 degrees. Let's talk about temperature and humidity first. These are two important factors in maintaining quality when produce is in storage. Many fruits and vegetables should be stored at room temperature because refrigerated temperatures damage them or prevent them from ripening to good flavor and texture. For example, when stored in the refrigerator, bananas develop black skin and do not develop sweetness. They should be stored in an air-conditioned space, uncovered and away from any plastic to ripen. Ideal storage conditions are at temperature of 60 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit with a relative humidity of 90 to 95%. These are appropriate conditions for bananas, sweet potatoes, tomatoes, onions, and unripened tomatoes. Other produce, such as most vegetables, berries, and ripe fruits, must be put into the refrigerator. Fresh cut produce, such as chopped lettuce or baby carrots, should be kept at a temperature between 36 to 41 degrees Fahrenheit and at a relative humidity of 85 to 90%. Care must be taken to ensure that the temperature at any given location inside the refrigerator does not fall below freezing to protect the produce. Care must also be taken to prevent temperature fluctuations of the produce. Fluctuations in temperature can drastically reduce the shelf life of the produce. You can do your part to keep the temperature consistent by not leaving the produce on the receiving dock for any extended amount of time, opening the refrigerator door as infrequently as possible, and not taking produce out of cold storage until preparation or service time. Keep in mind that there are also some fruits that must be ripe before they are refrigerated. They will not ripen further once you put them in the refrigerator. These fruits include avocados, kiwi fruit, nectarines, peaches, pears, plums, and tropical fruits such as mangoes and pineapples. If they are not ripe when you receive them, keep them at room temperature to ripen and then place them in the refrigerator. Having ideal storage conditions also means keeping ethylene gas producing produce separated from the ethylene gas sensitive produce. Ethylene gas is produced by certain fruits to promote natural ripening. Without ethylene gas, these fruits would never mature. Let me give you a couple of examples of how ethylene is used. Food service distributors sometimes have special rooms for ripening tomatoes. They get tomatoes in green, then they use ethylene in the room to ripen the tomatoes to the desired stage of ripeness. Here's another example you might use in your operation. Peaches can be ripened by placing them in a brown paper bag with an apple. A few examples of ethylene-producing fruits that are commonly used in school nutrition are apples, avocados, bananas, cantaloupes, honeydew melons, kiwi fruit, mangoes, nectarines, peaches, pears, plums, and tomatoes. While ethylene gas has a positive effect on ripening for the fruits that produce it, it can have a very negative effect on other fruits and vegetables by decreasing shelf life and by causing discoloration, loss of leaves, decay, and sprouting. Some of the produce we need to be sure to keep away from ethylene gas producers are broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, carrots, cauliflower, cucumbers, eggplant, green beans, leafy greens, lettuce, okra, parsley, peas, peppers, spinach, squash, sweet potatoes, watercress, and watermelon. If stored near ethylene gas producing produce, broccoli turns yellow and the florets separate. It can develop an off flavor. Cabbage turns yellow and the leaves separate. Carrots develop a bitter flavor. Cauliflower turns yellow. The leaves can separate and turn brown. Cucumbers soften. Green beans turn yellow. Lettuce browns and can develop russet spots. Potatoes sprout. Summer squash softens. Sweet potatoes turn brown and can develop off flavor. Turnips can become tough. In an ideal situation, storing produce in 8 different groups with separate storage locations is best. In reality, very few operations would be able to do this. In a central kitchen or even a school, however, it may be possible to have separate refrigerators for fruits and vegetables, in addition to a dry storage option. Let's talk about how to arrange produce in the refrigerator to maintain its quality during storage. Keeping produce at ideal temperatures and humidity and correctly separating produce to minimize ethylene gas exposure is critical for maintaining the quality of produce. Take a look at this diagram. It's of a walk-in refrigerator. I'm going to fill it in, showing you the best way to separate fruits that produce ethylene gas from items that deteriorate due to the exposure to ethylene gas. Also, we'll see how to store produce in different areas of the refrigerator that will have slightly different temperatures. Some fruits and vegetables should be stored in the coldest areas of the refrigerator, farthest away from the door, due to either having lower ideal storage temperatures or being very sensitive to ethylene gas, or both. These include fresh cut produce, carrots, lettuces, corn, greens, spinach, herbs except basil. Closer to the door and in the middle areas of the refrigerator, more moderate temperatures exist. Vegetables that should be stored in this area include asparagus, Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, cauliflower, mushrooms, radishes, peppers, summer squash, cucumbers, green beans, okra. In the front area of the refrigerator, nearest the door, is the best place for fruits that need a warmer temperature or produce ethylene gas. These include lemons and limes, mangoes, pineapples, tomatoes, and watermelon, avocados, honeydew, grapefruit, oranges, tangerines, cantaloupe, mandarin oranges, pears, plums, berries, apples, nectarines, peaches. When placing any produce into the refrigerator, be sure that there is plenty of space around the box or crate to promote good air circulation. Separate the ethylene-producing fruits at the greatest distance possible from the ethylene-sensitive vegetables and fruits. Store fresh produce on the upper shelves. Be sure to store meats and poultry products on the bottom shelves to avoid cross-contamination. Additionally, record a temperature reading daily at scheduled times. Even if the refrigerator has a built-in thermometer, place one in the warmest part of the refrigerator, usually closest to the door. It may be useful to have more than one thermometer so that you know temperatures in the different sections of the unit. Another best practice is to set up a storage diagram for the refrigerator and post it on the door. A diagram similar to the one just used to illustrate the placement of fruits and vegetables. This will help in managing inventory and locating stored foods. If your school nutrition operation uses reach-in refrigerators for general cold storage, many of the same rules will apply. Here's what you need to know. Store fresh fruits and vegetables on upper shelves to prevent cross-contamination. Make sure nothing is stored above the fresh produce that will contaminate it. Keep fresh cut produce covered. Be sure that the cover allows for air circulation inside the container. Other produce should be covered with the original box lid or loosely covered to allow air circulation. Allow for air circulation on every shelf. Do not cover shelves with paper or foil. Do not store products against the wall of the refrigerator. Create a storage diagram for the refrigerator shelves and post it on the door to help manage inventory and locate stored items. Record a temperature reading daily at scheduled times. Even if the refrigerator has a built-in thermometer, use other thermometers to measure the warmest part of the refrigerator, usually near the top and front, and the coldest part near the bottom and back. Whether storing in a walk-in or a reach-in refrigerator, fresh cut produce requires some special attention. Date produce upon receiving to ensure FIFO. Store the products immediately upon delivery in the coldest part of the refrigerator. If stored above 41 degrees, fresh cut produce is at a high risk for growth of harmful bacteria. Store refrigerated, fresh cut produce between 36 and 41 degrees Fahrenheit with a relative humidity between 85 and 90% to maximize quality. In your refrigerator, fresh cut produce should be stored near the back. It's not necessary to think about ethylene gas in this situation because the sealed bags protect the produce. Sealed bags of fresh cut apples can't damage sealed bags of fresh cut lettuce. Provide good air circulation around produce. Do not remove the bags from the refrigerator until it's time to prepare or serve the menu item. Fresh cut produce is packaged in air-controlled bags to ensure quality and freshness. Once the seal on the pre-cut produce bag has been broken, the product must be used as quickly as possible. With special handling, pre-cut produce can be an easy way to serve a variety of fresh produce in your program. Let's review a few best practices for storing fresh produce. Date produce when it's received. Use first in, first out inventory rotation as appropriate for the products. Remember, there will be exceptions to the FIFO rules when newer produce items need to be used before the ones you already have on hand. Wash produce just before preparation, not before storage. Maintain produce at temperatures recommended for the variety and particular stage of ripeness, whether that's in the dry storage or the refrigerator. Store produce according to the ethylene gas exposure sensitivity. Post a diagram on the outside of the refrigerator to show where the items belong. Store produce at least 6 inches off the floor in dry storage and in the refrigerators. Be sure foods that can cross-contaminate are stored below produce. Keep the refrigerator door closed to prevent temperature fluctuations. Only take produce out of the refrigerators just prior to using it. Record refrigerator temperatures every day. Use these best practices to correctly store produce and maintain its quality prior to preparation and service. By doing your part to follow these best practices, you can help to ensure that your customers enjoy high-quality, fresh produce.